You know, we have tons of words for joy and success, but what about the other side of things? Today, we're going to dive into the vocabulary of despair, those specific, powerful words that help us name the moments of decline, dread, and, well, gloom. Have you ever felt that? A particular kind of gloominess, or found yourself in a tricky situation you just couldn't put your finger on? You know what they say. Naming a feeling is the first step to really understanding it. And that's exactly what we're here to do today. Find the right words for those complicated, tough states of being. So here's our roadmap. We're going to start with that internal feeling of slowness. Then we'll look at the kinds of situations that can trap us. After that, we'll get into the burdens we carry, what hardship actually looks like, and finally, we'll talk about why having the right words is such a powerful tool for clarity. Okay, first up, that internal feeling of being weighed down. It's a kind of heavy stillness, right? Where it feels like your body and your mind are trying to move through molasses. Let's find the words for that. Our first word is languid. I want you to picture a super hot humid summer day. You're not sick or anything, just totally drained of energy. There's almost an elegance to it, a kind of graceful laziness, just like that slow, languid wave of a hand. Now, lethargic is a whole other level. This isn't graceful at all. It's sluggish. It feels way deeper, like that heavy, drowsy feeling you get when you're coming down with the flu. It has this dull, almost medical feel to it. Okay, so here's the easiest way to remember the difference. Languid is how you feel relaxing in a hammock on a beautiful, lazy afternoon. Lethargic is when you feel so sluggish you can't even be bothered to get into the hammock. See? One is about relaxation, the other is about a total wipeout of energy. And just to round this out, languor is basically the noun. It's the state of feeling languid. Torpid, on the other hand, is even deeper than lethargic. Think of a bear hibernating in winter. It's a state of dormancy, almost a complete shutdown of activity. So we've got the words for that internal slowdown. But what about the outside world? Let's turn to the external situations that make us feel totally trapped, like we're literally sinking into trouble. Imagine trying to figure out a super complex problem, but there's just no clear path forward. That is a morass. It's usually used for abstract things, a bureaucratic morass, an ethical morass. The key ideas here are confusion and complexity. A quagmire sounds similar, but the feeling is different. Its literal meaning, a swamp that sucks you in, is the perfect clue. When you're in a quagmire, you're not just confused, you are stuck. It feels like every single step you take just pulls you deeper in. So let's lock this in. A morass is like being lost in a maze of legal paperwork. It's complex and confusing. A quagmire is like being stuck in quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. One's about complexity, the other is about being trapped. All right, now let's look at the words that describe the process of decline itself. The heavy burdens, the slow disappearance of resources, and those unmistakable signs that something is coming to an end. These words really capture the weight of hardship. It might kick off with an onerous task, something that's just a huge burden. That could lead to privation, which is the harsh reality of lacking the things you really need. Then you might face a vicissitude, a really unwelcome turn of events, maybe because of a paucity or a scarcity of resources. Each word just paints a different shade of difficulty. And this is where it gets really powerful. We can actually map out the whole journey of decline. You can see how hope might begin to wane or just fade away. Then things sink to their nadir, the absolute rock bottom. And finally, you might hear the knell, that symbolic sound that signals it's all over. It's like a whole story in just 3 words. Okay, a quick heads up. This next word we're going to talk about is only kind of loosely connected to our theme of despair. I just want to be upfront about that. But it's such a great word, and its second meaning really does fit here. And that word is torrid. Now, most people know its main meaning, intensely hot and dry, like a torrid desert. But, and this is the cool part, it also means full of difficulty. So a company can have a torrid time, which means they went through a period of intense, painful struggle. And that's our link to the theme. So far, we've talked about feelings and situations. Now let's get a bit more personal and explore the words that describe how hardship can actually show up on a person, physically and emotionally. Hardship can literally change the way we look. When you see it on someone, you might say their complexion is pallid. That's not just pale, it's an unhealthy pale, the kind that comes from being sick or deeply afraid. Or maybe you'd see a wizened face, one that's wrinkled and shrunken, not just from age, but from a long, tough life. And emotionally, despair can look really different. Someone who's maudlin is being overly sentimental, crying and feeling sorry for themselves in a way that can be a little cringy. But wistful is a much quieter, almost poetic kind of sadness. It's that gentle, regretful longing for something that's gone. And that brings us to the ultimate state of social despair, becoming a pariah. A pariah isn't just unpopular, they're an outcast, someone totally rejected by their community. It's a really heavy word for deep social isolation. Okay, so we've gone through some heavy, powerful words today. But what's the point of it all? This last section is all about bringing it home and showing why finding the right word for the right moment is one of the most powerful things we can do. The philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein said it perfectly. The limits of my language mean the limits of my world. Think about that. When we learn new words, we're not just memorizing definitions. We are literally expanding the world that we can understand and experience. And this is exactly why this matters. Knowing the difference between feeling lethargic and feeling languid, or between being in a morass versus a quagmire, that's not just for English class. It gives you the clarity to really see your situation for what it is and hopefully figure out how to move through it. And we'll end on this thought. We've built a pretty powerful vocabulary for describing hardship. But here's the thing. The very idea of a nadir, a lowest point, implies that there has to be a way up. So, I'll leave you with this question. If these are the words for despair, what are the words for resilience, for recovery, for the way out? Now that's a vocabulary worth building. Thanks for exploring this with me.